Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Okay, today we are going to take a quick look at Glory 2nd Edition from Hog Publishing. I recently purchased this game from their website, so it is still available. Let's read a little bit about this game. The great castle stands in the midst of a troubled four lands. Beyond its great walls lie towns in need of heroes, paths wrought with uncertainties, strange beasts, the occasional haven. And if you venture forth far enough, awesome and undefeatable foes which you may throw your brave life against. Stock up wisely on the goods of the castle shop, Glory Seeker. Learn abilities through your tribulations, and whenever you venture, remember, no guts, no glory. To the victor the spoils, and yet as true to the rash, death. So, Glory is one of the most simplistic adventure games I have ever played. I'm not sure if it's more simple than Seven Moons Heroes of Dragon Reach, but it is close. And yet, even though it is very simplistic, it still has a lot of what we at the Dungeon Dive look for. It's kind of like the bare necessities, the essence of the game, and everything else, or the essence of an adventure game, and everything else is stripped away. This is a pure reduction of the things that we crave. You are moving around an overland map. You are playing a character that can get more powerful. There is loot. There are quests. There are boss fights. And there are some random encounters. And it does everything pretty well. And what's most remarkable about the game is that its instruction manual is only 7 pages long. You can literally be playing this game from the time you open the box to learning the game to your first turn in like 10 minutes. It is one of the most effortlessly fun games I know of. However, I don't know about the longevity of the game. I'm not sure if there is enough to keep a lot of people interested in it. I don't know. It's a really interesting game. At its core, it is a competitive game for 2 to 4 players, and you are competing to move around the kingdom, trying to be the first one to gain a certain number of glory points. And you're trying to get 20 in the base game. There's a additional kind of advanced game where you can play to try to get 25, and that incorporates a little more of some of the dragons, some of the more powerful foes in the game. The way you get victory point, or the way you get your glory points, is by completing certain quests, by defeating enemies in battle, and by chancing fate and drawing these random encounter cards. So the game is a very, very easy to learn, very quick to play. It comes with a number of different kinds of heroes. The heroes are also very simple. They will have a strike, which is a bonus that you add to your attack rolls, a power, which dictates how much damage you do, and a certain number of health. Then you can keep track of your glory. In dragon mode, that's the advanced mode that I just mentioned. And then each of the heroes has a special power. And each of the heroes has a certain number of starting equipment. And so you have a knight, you have an adventurer, a totem, a druid, a seer, an ender, and a witness. And then in this game here, I am just playing a two-handed game here. I am playing the warlock versus the golem there. And at the beginning of the game, you're going to set it up in such a way that you will put random quests under the board located at each of the towns here. And then you will also take a random boss and put that under the board at each of the corners where there is a layer. And then your characters will start adjacent to the castle here. And a turn is very simple. You're going to roll a d8 to move. You have to move that many spaces, And there are a number of different kinds of spaces on the board. We have these circles, and those are blank. Those are just nothing happens when you land on one of those. If you land on a shield, you have a battle. If you land on a haven, you regain 1 health, and you can scout to see the boss at that particular layer. So you can take a look at this layer card here, which you might have to fight against a demon, but you keep that secret until somebody else reveals it, or until you go to that spot and reveal it. You can move into a town here, and when you're at a town, you regain all of your lost health, and you can peek at the quest that is available in each town. And you keep that secret until you have solved that quest, and then move back to it in order to complete it. You move back to that town in order to complete the quest. And then that quest remains face up for the rest of the game. And then another player can solve that quest, can complete that quest, but they get fewer bonuses for doing so. And I believe that is all of the spaces that we've covered. And then the castle. The castle space here is the main space in the center. And when you go to that castle, you regain all of your lost health, and you can spend your coins to buy a number of gear cards, a number of different goods, they're called. So yeah, it has roll and move. It does have player elimination, because if you drop to 0 health, you are dead and you are out of the game. However, what it does do is it gives the player a lot of agency in how they want to approach the encounters. When you land on a battle space, you will draw a card from the battle deck, and you will have an opportunity to have a fight against a will-o-wisp, green dragons, white dragons, purple dragons, dirt elementals, poltergeists, storm elementals, goblins, beasts. There's a whole slew of different types of enemies you will fight. So you will draw one to have an encounter. So if I was on this battle space here and I drew a fiend who is undead, I could have a fight with it. However, you are never obligated to fight. You can always choose to engage with the enemy. You can go through a round of combat. Combat is very easy. The hero rolls their die and adds their power value to it. Somebody else rolls for the enemy. They add their power. Whoever has the highest total wins and does damage. So you could go through one round of combat. If you lose, you can choose to escape without taking any penalty. Some of the enemies will force you to fight, but that is very few. That's a special ability that a few enemies have. So you always have the choice to engage. You can press your luck and try to beat that enemy to get the glory, or you can just run away and run back to a town or run back to the castle to heal yourself. So there is a pressure luck element to it. I like that you are not obligated to fight. You always have the choice to fight. Even when you go to one of the layers to reveal the bosses, you can choose to engage with that boss if you want to. So the battle deck is pretty interesting. Another thing that is very interesting about this game, and this is kind of where the not complexity, but where the choices come in, where the nuance of the game lies within the mainly within the ability deck, within the goods deck, and within the fate deck here. So the ability deck, every time your hero gains 5 glory points or they collect 5 fate cards, you get to draw 2 ability cards, read them, and then choose one. And these are all game-breaking abilities. These are new skills that your heroes can learn, and each one allows you to break a rule, to do something else, to have a certain power. So here we have Merchantry and Home Sense. So this is an ability that you can discard this card on the castle to gain a good that's costing 3 or fewer coins. Okay, so that's worth 3 coins to trade for a good. Home Sense, discard this card to move to the castle or the town. So that would help you heal. And there are a whole bunch of different abilities that you can get that will help you gain more power in order to do better in the game. Some of the abilities will allow these blank spaces to have will allow you to do things on these blank spaces, such as this one. If you have the power of meditation, you can discard this card on a blank space to learn a new ability. That is super cool. Sometimes you will have abilities that will help you in combat. So, discard this to gain a +1 strike for a single battle. Amble. Make another movement roll. When you land on a blank space, discard after 2 uses. So if you land on a blank space, you can make another roll and continue to move. And you can see these little check boxes. Every card in this game is dry erasable. And so there will be cards that also have these check boxes. Some of the items have check boxes, and your hero's character cards also have check boxes. So you can keep track of things right on the card. It's kind of cool, and it gives everything kind of this really thick, kind of glossy look to it. But this deck, once you start getting some more powers and once you start having these more options, each turn after each subsequent turn gets a little more interesting. The same goes for the number of goods that you can buy. The goods are pretty interesting, and they allow you to do some cool things, such as you can get this magic map to discard to move anywhere. You can get a magic pin where in a battle, if you win a strike roll, you can discard that to do an additional health. This mimic rune here, you can discard to make your next roll the same as your last roll. You can get daggers, and this is a concoction with 4 uses. Land on each haven. If you do, gain +2 maximum health. Okay, so actually this is kind of like a little mini quest. So if you buy this concoction for 3 health, you want to land on each of the haven spaces, and there are 4 haven spaces around the board. Each time you land on one, you will mark that, and when you do, you will gain a maximum, you will gain +2 to your maximum health. Here's a shield. You cannot lose health in the first round of battles. So a lot of interesting items. They don't just add bonuses to your character stats. Some of them will allow you to break rules. Some of them will allow you to do different things. And so getting goods is pretty interesting. And then finally, we have this deck of fate cards. And fate cards, every time you land on one of these question marks, you will draw a fate card. And these two are different ways to get glory, different ways to break the game, different powers that will trigger immediately. So you have an epiphany, gain 1 glory. Or maybe here, from the dry husk of a leafless tree, hang black ribbons, crow feathers, and the bones of small animals. An aura washes over you like a cool shadow, leaving you disturbed and pensive. You cannot regain health until you visit a town. A loose coin escapes. If you have one, put a coin on the castle. The first person to land there gets it. Joy to the world. Everyone gains a glory. A fellow traveler tells you about a nearby town. You may peek at the closest face-down quest card. You chance upon a pixie who provisions you a riddle. She says you'll know the answer when the time is right. You may turn this face down at any time for a +1 bonus on any roll. So pretty interesting little simple encounters that you can have that will just allow you to have little interesting things to happen. And then finally, there are the quests themselves. So each game, you're going to have 4 quests out on each town. They are hidden until you go there and you can kind of scout the quest to see what each town wants you to do. The requirements of a quest cannot be banked. They are not prorated, meaning that, let's say this quest here was a retired hero will teach you, if you are ready, win 2 battles. So let's say on your way to this town, you have already won 2 battles. Well, you can't bank those battles to complete this quest. A quest has to be, you have to know about the quest before you can start to complete the quest. Once a quest is completed by a hero, then that quest is face up at that town, and then each other hero will have an opportunity to beat that quest, but they will get fewer rewards. You get more rewards being the first person to solve a quest. And there are a number of different quests, such as strange knowledge is unimportant until it is. So say the wizards here, who ask for your help adding to their tomes of lore. Land on the farthest fates and discover the 2 closest layers. So if this quest was here in this town, you would have to discover the 2 closest layers. So you would have to go to this layer and to this layer and discover who the bosses are there. And you would also have to land on the 2 furthest fates. And the 2 furthest fates are over here on the other side of the board, there and there. As you complete different parts of the quest, you can keep track of those on your character sheet under the notes section using with the dry erase marker to just keep track of where you have been and your progress towards each quest completion. Sister wells stand in the far reaches of the north, one in the mountains, the other on an island. It is said that the debt we owe to our forebears can be serviced there. Visit and discard a coin at each of the 2 northern layers. Gain 1 extra coin for completing this quest. So you have to go toss a coin in the wells there. Let's see. The town guard has struck a deal with a faraway ally. You can help them discharge their obligation. Fight on the 4 furthest battle spaces. So a pretty interesting quest. There's a lot of things that will require you to move around the map and to visit different locations. So the game at its core is competitive, and I think that's probably where the game shines because there is some of that hidden information with the various quests. And there are also, I should note that there are also quite a few different bosses. So in each game, you're going to have 4 bosses. Those are going to be dealt face down on each of the layers. Things like golden dragons, liches, naga, shadow worms, storm elementals, vampires, giants, goblin kings, frost elementals, basilisks, and black dragons. But I think the game will shine as a competitive game. It's very quick. It's so easy to learn. It's a beer and pretzels game or a family weight game, something that could probably be played in like an hour. And knowing, gaining that secret knowledge of which boss is in each corner, in each layer, knowing which quest to complete can add a little bit of mystery, a little bit of intrigue. I have only played the game double-handed, just kind of playing a fake competitive game with myself. However, there's also a solo scenario guide here, and I haven't played this mode yet. But this is a series of 6 scenarios that you play one after another, and things carry over from one scenario to another. So it's a really short little solo campaign where it will tell you certain ways to lay out the map and using certain characters, and then you have to kind of solve this adventure puzzle. And then depending on how you do, things will carry over to the subsequent quest, to the different scenarios. Some of the scenarios don't use the map at all. You just play with cards. So the scenario mode is pretty interesting. It kind of changes up the core elements of the game in certain ways. I do wish that there were more of these scenario books within the base game. Maybe there were in a Kickstarter version. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into the Kickstarter of this game. I would love to see more of these solo play scenario books, and I think it could be pretty interesting. And I am looking forward to diving into this mode of play. I do want to talk a little bit about the art, because I do think that the art is really good in this game. However, it doesn't have a cohesive vision. So if we look at the cover of this box, very pretty. Got this very nice font, this kind of like gold leaf font there. Very nice kind of pastel painted colors. I love the way this looks. But then the back of the box looks completely different. It's got this kind of black and white, very cartoony drawing. So there we have 2 very different kinds of art. The battle cards, the backs of the cards are very bold and stark. But then the front of the battle cards, it's just absolutely beautiful. It almost looks like old Disney art. I love the filigree of surrounding the cards and the border. The artwork is really, really nice, but it doesn't really fit with the boldness of the backs of the cards. And then you have the boss cards, the layer cards, and these are like very painterly. And again, they stand in stark contrast to the battle cards. They look like they're from different games. And then You also have the goods cards, and the goods cards also are just black and white with a very kind of odd kind of shading to them. And those look like they're from different games. And then you have the board, which kind of looks like it's almost like a wood carving, a wood print. Then you have like these really kind of bold borders or these titles on the manual there. It's like they combined the art from 4 or 5 different games into a single game, but all of the art is done by the same artist. I wish there was a little more cohesion to the art, because while each of the individual pieces I think looks great, it doesn't form together to create a singular cohesive vision. And that is something that is important to me in art. I like for the art to be of a singular piece. I wish that if I had to choose one of these styles, I think the battle card style is my favorite. I absolutely love the look of these cards. Some of my favorite looking cards, just absolutely gorgeous, very classy. But overall, Glory 2nd Edition is, it's an interesting game. It's not very expensive. I think it's around $40 or so. It's so simple. I mean, 6 pages of instructions. There's almost nothing to the game until you start playing it. And then you start realizing how these quests change things up, how the different bosses will change things up, how your different abilities that you gain can really make the game different. Even like these these have a different kind of a look to them as well. How the fate cards can change things up, and even some of the fate cards and even some of the good cards are actually can almost be seen as little secondary side quests. And so that is pretty interesting. And overall, I'm pretty happy with the game. I do really want to play this with some friends and see how the competitive mode really plays out with that, some kind of like hidden knowledge and keeping some notes about some of the things you have discovered and revealed on the board. I think that could be a lot of fun. And I am looking forward to playing through those solo scenarios. I'm hoping that there are more solo scenarios available at some point, because I think that could be a very interesting way to add some longevity to the solo game. But overall, I am happy with my purchase of Glory 2nd Edition. It is another one of those effortless fun games. One of those simple games that I can pull out and play and not have a lot of stress to learn the rules, and it's fast and just kind of breezy. So, all right, guys, well, hope you enjoyed taking a look at Glory 2nd Edition. We will talk to you later. Bye-bye.